consider the visceral electricity of 90,000 fans screaming at a match, and the quiet, solitary focus of someone reading a complex piece of philosophy. Humans spend an enormous amount of time and energy on things that don't help us survive. From elite sports to high art, we pursue activities for their intrinsic value, doing them purely for the sake of doing them. Modern society handles this diversity through an uneasy truce. We tolerate the football fan and the philosopher by assuming their choices are equally valid. We treat every source of joy as an equivalent path to a good life. But this raises a difficult question. Can anyone claim that reading a book is objectively higher or more valuable to the human experience than watching a brilliantly executed goal? Many modern thinkers reject the very idea of ranking human pursuits. The philosopher and politician Oliver Letwin, for instance, has launched a direct attack on these hierarchies. Letwin argues that a hierarchy of activities is a harmful myth used to justify elitism. In his view, these rankings provoke shame and artificially divide the human psyche into higher and lower parts, as if our minds and bodies were at war. This egalitarian view feels safe, but it comes with a cost. If we entirely reject the idea that some pursuits are better than others, we lose the blueprint required to build a flourishing life. To find that blueprint, we have to look to the ancient founders of Western thought, who believed that certain activities could actually transform the human soul. We start with Plato. He was the archetypal philosophical romantic, a man who believed that value is derived from a transcendent, objective reality. Plato viewed the universe as a ladder of perfectibility. Reality begins at the bottom with murky physical shadows and rises toward the ultimate forms of the good, the true, and the beautiful. This structure dictates human worth. While physical games deal with things that change and decay, the mind reaches for concepts that are eternal. Intellectual contemplation allows us to step onto the highest rung of existence. For Plato, knowing the form of the good constitutes a structurally superior state of being. It is an encounter that ennobles the observer, giving them a spark of that transcendent goodness. Then there is Aristotle. He discarded Plato's mystical ladder, but maintained a strict hierarchy based on function. Aristotle's world is built on telos, the inherent goal driving every living thing toward its final purpose. We can see this as a series of nested circles, where basic biological needs serve as the necessary stepping stones toward higher ends. Aristotle argued that reason is the specific, unique function of a human being. Therefore, the perfect exercise of reason, theoretical wisdom, is the absolute pinnacle of human flourishing. This looks like a convenient bias. Two leisured ancient aristocrats decided that their own intellectual lifestyle was the objective peak of human existence. However, their logic rests on how an activity transforms the person. A physical game is a temporary experience, but for Aristotle, the exercise of reason is an act of self-actualization. It fulfills the biological and intellectual blueprint of what a human is, creating a state of excellence that remains long after the activity ends. This brings us back to the friction between the stadium and the study. We don't need to adopt ancient Greek metaphysics to see the vital lesson hidden in their work. The ancients agreed that you cannot simply dabble in the highest good. If an activity is truly the most worthwhile thing a human can do, it becomes all-consuming. Whatever pursuit we crown as our ultimate value will inevitably ramify. It trickles down to govern our character, shape our communities, and define the trajectory of our lives. Ranking these activities serves to issue a challenge. It asks us to discover what truly actualizes our highest potential and what merely fills the time. And there is a final irony. To even ask these questions, to analyze and debate whether a game or a book is more valuable, is to engage in the very act of philosophy that the Greeks placed at the top of the ladder.